It's not that tutorials take too long, but tutorials take too long. Anytime you get into a new game, you go on YouTube, whatever, you look up some sort of beginner's guide tutorial for that game, and I never get all the way through it. They're 15, 20 minutes long. I just cannot do it. And I've been sitting here making tutorials to help people out with Football Manager, and they've been very helpful, hopefully increase the enjoyment for a couple of people. They're all, I guess, too long, or at least more in depth than they need to be. So I've decided to start a series called FM5, which means I only have 5 minutes to put together this video, and I have already wasted almost 1 minute of it, so I should probably hurry. This FM5 is going to be about squad dynamics, the different bits of information that you can find in the squad dynamics page, which I love, and how it can help your team win. We're already at the screen that you're at when you click dynamics, but you might not spend the time to look at this and read it, so I'll take you through. First part's team cohesion. I always think this is the most important because it will actually add to the product that you put on the field. Good team cohesion will improve player positioning, improve the collective mental state, and generally mean your players are going to make better decisions and be in better positions more times than they aren't. And if it's a very bad team cohesion, if the team does not play well together, the opposite effect will happen. So if you can push up your team cohesion, then your team is just going to play better. The simplest way to improve your team cohesion is by winning. Clearly, we've been able to win a good bit, but there's also a training regime that you can undergo to try and improve your team cohesion. Go with a lot of team bonding, basically, and you try and do that in the preseason so you get good cohesion early. Maybe play a couple of bad teams in friendlies to really get the ball rolling, and try and have a lot of your players play at the same time together, so in friendlies, don't mix up all of your different players that you were potentially going to be in the starting 11. Try and play what you think is going to be the starting 11 one every 2 matches so that they're building the cohesion. You also have locker room atmosphere and leadership support. Locker room atmosphere is just how good everybody is feeling in the locker room. If it's bad, players are going to start to become complacent. It affects player mentalities. It doesn't affect their physical positioning, their vision reactions, whatever team cohesion is telling you, but the locker room atmosphere will affect the player mentality. The way to keep this high is to try and have as few issues with players as possible. Then leadership support. Well, if you're doing well, then that's just going to go up. Probably the least important of the three, but if you have bad leadership support, the players are not going to respect your decisions nearly as often. I have survived with abysmal leadership support. I actually survived with abysmal leadership support in this save, but it is not easy, and you can't get anybody to do anything you want them to. The rest of the stuff on this page, outside of the issues, you actually are going to be able to find in the different tabs at the top. And since we're in a win sprint here, let's go to them. Now we're on the hierarchy page. The hierarchy page can be used for a couple of different things. One, I use the hierarchy page to determine which players I can anger and which players I do not want to make mad. I do not want to make Diogo Dalot mad because he will have a lot of support from the team because he's one of the team leaders. While if I'm thinking about selling a player down here who might not want to be sold, if he's in other players, there's pretty much nobody that's going to want to join him. The only reason they would come to his defense is if that player happens to be in a social group. So if we click on Rory Moss Sainsbury, you can actually see the social group that that player is in and who might be willing to come to their aid and who their friends are around the club. Clicking on the player in the hierarchy will also tell you why they are in the position that they are. So you get this bit of information. It says team leader. This is why Marcus Rashford is a team leader. Whole bunch of reasons. You also see their morale. You can click on positives and negatives for the reason their morale is the way it is. And their social group, of course, pops up, which you can click to transfer you to social groups. The social groups page just animates visually the different way the clicking that you can do on the hierarchy page, and it will give you a little more information, which will also happen on the hierarchy page, telling you why a social group is formed. Usually it has to do with the amount of time a player is at the club and their level of professionalism. Nationality is also a big factor. If they can speak a language, they're probably going to get together, especially if it's not the main language of that country that the club is in. Social groups actually have their own morale as well. You get an update on that on the right, and it tells you scouted players that could fit into different social groups right away instead of having to adapt like these poor saps. It's okay, we just signed them. On my Twitch save, I stream on Twitch if you want to come talk about this stuff and feel that the 5 minutes wasn't quite enough. Links down below. It's 4 days a week and the head tie is still there, so it's pretty fun. The rest of your dynamics is just going to be happiness, which is a sortable layout of all of the different morale traits of players, and then you can go to team meeting. A terrifying place to go, but it can be good if your team is starting to slip or is one win away from some sort of trophy or accomplishment. I'm pretty sure we got that in 5 minutes. Hopefully I'll see you next time, and links down to socials will be down below as well if you want to check that out. Be sure to like and subscribe if this was helpful. That's going to put me over 5 minutes, isn't it? I'm glad we only do this for 5 minutes.